All right, we're back after another. Well, actually, this one was really unplanned. I'm
Yeah, it
sure
was,
if you
unfortunately.
saw out of turn four, I kind of explained what happened. It's been a little crazy these last few weeks, so hopefully now we're back on track. Until the
Yeah,
summer.
should be.
Again. But hello, welcome to Sunday morning Tinkle. Sorry, I'm losing one of my earbuds. But anyway, coming up on the show, of course, we'll be talking the NFL and NBA playoffs. We also got the NFL schedule. Keep in mind, we're a little bit behind because of the last few weeks, so we're going to focus primarily on the NFL schedule, as well as the NBA, NHL playoffs. Again, the biggest thing going on in sports right now. And then, of course, a tinkle on this that I wanted to use last week. Unfortunately, I didn't get to use, but we recycled it for this week. You'll still love it. It was great. It's been in the news. It's old news, but it's good. I promise. So, anyway, let's get to the takeaways. Jason, I think you're the one to start today.
Okay, well, Dallas does take out the number one seeded Suns. Yes, you read that
Mm-hmm.
correctly. The number one seeded, the best team in the NBA, taken out by the Dallas Mavericks in 7 games, and it wasn't even
Mm-hmm.
close. This game was a blowout basically from the start. They got blown out by 33 points, 123 to 90. But then, a couple days after the fact, they get blown out in San Francisco by the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I can't be too worried. The Mavs have been down, lost game one, the last two series, and came back and won it in either 6 or 7 games. They were down one game against Utah and then ended up winning that series. Then they were down 2 games to none against Phoenix and then won the next two afterwards. So anything is possible, but this Warriors team is not a team you can take lightly. They've won countless championships with this
Mm-hmm.
squad. Um, so they're cooking.
See,
Both teams are cooking right now.
yeah, and of course, I should note, of course, keep in mind, we talked last year at this time. We said, plain and simply, Golden State is done. We said their runs are done. It's not happening again. Past their prime, yada, yada, yada. And I don't know. I think they're out there to make people like us eat those words. But I will tell you, again, I'm gonna go back to what I said at the beginning of the show, talking that we're gonna be talking the NHL playoffs. We're gonna be talking the NBA playoffs. We both really got some stuff to be happy about, and the Mavs got farther than I thought they would
Oh,
have,
I agree. Oh,
be-
I agree.
because I
I
expected the
honestly
Suns to go for blood.
see as soon as the second round was coming up, and it's the top seeded Suns, and they kicked the Mavericks' asses the first 2 games. I'm like, oh, we're done. There's no way we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna win the series. It's either gonna be a sweep or it's gonna be in within 5 games. Well,
Mm-hmm.
those 2 games in Dallas played pretty damn well in Dallas.
Yeah.
That's why I can't really discredit this series yet against Golden State because
Mm-hmm.
say we go down 2 games to Golden State, you better watch out Golden State because we're a totally different team when we're on our home court. But as far as that goes, yeah, I'm happy if they do lose to the Warriors. I'm happy they got as far as they did. It shows that they're close, but just maybe one or so players away from actually being that team that can get to the finals.
Yeah.
And if they do, they do. I mean, who knows what could happen.
Well,
But as of right now, with everything else that's been going on, they just took the Suns to 7 games. Don't be shocked if this series goes 7 games.
absolutely. I could see it. I think six is more reasonable.
Yeah,
You know, I don't know about 7 just yet. I want to see what happens the rest of the series.
right. Now, in an interesting turn of things, we had the NBA draft lottery um, before I want to say it was the start before the start of the Eastern Conference Finals, if I remember
Mm-hmm.
correctly, before
Yeah.
Game 1. We had the draft lottery. Well, interesting enough, the Magic had the number 1 overall pick. So the first 14 uh, seeds are the draft lottery. So it goes Magic, Thunder, Rockets, Kings, Pistons, Pacers, Blazers, Pelicans, Spurs, Wizards, Knicks, Thunder again, Hornets, and Cavs. It just kind of sucks that the Thunder can never really get the number 1 top seed. But the last 2 times that they had the number 2 seed, you want to
The
know
number
who it
2
was?
pick.
It was the number 2 pick. Yes. Sorry. The number 2 pick. You don't want to know what those last 2 picks were? It was Gary Payton and Kevin Durant.
Mm-hmm.
So luck have been on their side with having that pick. I just don't know if they're gonna have that same success this time. This is a way different Thunder team, unfortunately. So Magic always seem to be in that discussion. Like half of their team is built off of draft picks. Thunder apparently, I don't know if I saw this. They have like 15 or so first round or a wide variety of first round picks for the next like I don't know 7 years or something like that. They have quite a bit. So they have a lot of draft capital. Now the thing is, if you're the Thunder and you have so much draft capital, why don't you use it to try to grab like I don't know, try to get like a player or something like, or do some kind of moves. You don't need 2 first round draft picks in the first round. Yeah, it would be nice to take one at 2 and 12, but
yeah,
you can easily trade one of those away for like compensation or a player or something like that, or it just I think that Magic need to do something with this pick so that they can really turn their whole season around. Because if you look at most of their team is very young. Thunder kind of young, a lot of draft picks. The Rockets are Pacers. I don't know. We'll see what happens with them. But as far as that goes with the whole NBA draft, there's a lot of studs. I mean, Brian could probably tell you more about the top college players that are going to be probably entering it than I could. But from what I'm hearing is that there's a lot of good NBA prospects that are coming into this year's draft.
I mean, I know Paolo Banchero's one of them, but I haven't really had a chance to follow it, believe it or not.
I think Chet Holmgren is like one of them.
Chet's expected to be a first pick, which isn't shocking. I'm trying to look up a list now. Sorry, it would help if I actually typed it in. Alright. Yeah, Chet Holmgren, he's expected to be the top player. Of course, you got Jabari Smith from Auburn. As mentioned, Paolo Banchero from Duke. Let's see, Jaden Ivey from Purdue is another name that's on the list, a point guard. Really, it looks like the draft, at least the top 10, seems pretty front heavy with forwards and centers. So,
Hmm.
But AJ Griffin's another, and AJ Griffin was a sharpshooter from three, if I recall. So that's big.
Well, I mean, I will say that, like, from what it seems like, that there could be a lot of like players that could make a great impact in their first year. A lot of great sharpshooters. Hopefully, one of these squads can value best from a lot of these guys. But I wasn't gonna go too heavy with number two. I'm gonna go into the third one. It's been rumored. It was rumored big time that he was going to be leaving the Giants. Could go to the Bills. Could go elsewhere. Well, yeah, he did go elsewhere. He went to the division rival Philadelphia Eagles on a 1-year, $10 million deal, where he gets to play up against the Giants twice this season. So I wonder if that was on purpose.
Oh, absolutely, it was on purpose. Yeah, so that'll be interesting to watch. He's out for blood.
Oh, I think, yeah. I would definitely think so. We'll definitely see.
Yeah.
Philadelphia definitely helps out the secondary a little bit more, but
So
1 year, $10 million seems about a reasonable deal for a player like that. So
yeah,
it's kind of like a deal where you can go say like, hey, we'll give you this deal. It's kind of like a go out there and prove it that you can,
yeah.
that we should give you another contract after this year. So
Okay, yeah, pretty much.
I mean, hate to say it.
Yeah. So sorry. So real quick, going back to your second one, I was just gonna say this. I'm looking through the list. There's a lot of surprisers at the bottom here, for the prospects. Sorry, I was paying attention, but I was looking at this as well. One interesting name in the draft prospect pool, of course, he's ranked number 91 out of all draft prospects, is the son of Scottie Pippen, Pippen Jr. here, who's currently playing for Vanderbilt.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I was about to say, if a team does end up choosing him, they better hope that they can get somebody of, his father's, play style, because Scottie Pippen wasn't a terrible player in his NBA career. Yes, he was riding on the coattails of Michael Jordan, but Scottie Pippen himself was not any, lacking of skill either. So,
what'll probably end up happening is he'll be in the summer league for a few years, and then he'll fizzle out, kind of like Michael Jordan's sons did.
Probably.
But anyway, is that it for that, or?
Yeah, that's it for my takeaways.
All right, just wanted to be sure before I go in. But you can tell, I guess, by the shirt, if you can kind of see it. How about them Lightning? Okay, they were down 3-2 in the series versus the Toronto Maple Leafs, and if there's one thing for sure, the Lightning don't lose back-to-back in the playoffs, okay? They absolutely do not lose back-to-back in the playoffs. We're recording on Thursday. They're currently up 1-0 against the Florida Panthers. Not shocking, because Florida's always a hoax in the playoffs, but Toronto, again, falls short in the series on Tuesday in Game 7. Just proves why the Lightning are the defending champions back-to-back. And, of course, proves why Toronto is a constant laughingstock in the league. So.
Yeah, Maple Leafs just haven't had any kind of success in a long time.
And should I also point out that Braden Point, keep in mind, Braden Point, probably the best player in hockey right now. He's currently still out. He's been out, of course, if you recall, a non-contact injury or a low-contact injury in Game 7, which was scary. We didn't know if he would be okay after that. He came out, played another stint, really couldn't move around very well. He's actually out for game 1, game 2, but the fact that they're up in the game on Thursday night, they're up in the series 1-0 as of Thursday night. His presence is missed, but it's certainly not damning.
Right.
Which is great, which falls on coaching right there. Next man up.
Yeah, you got to have that mentality no matter what sport, the next man up mentality.
And of course, even more reason that Steven Stamkos is so valuable to the franchise. But anyway, I'll leave that. We'll get back to hockey in a moment. But I figure we talk about baseball for a second. And of course, Max Scherzer, of course, one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. He left Wednesday night's game for the Mets, unfortunately, with a left side injury. I don't know exactly the details, but it is now announced that he will be out the next 6 to 8 weeks for the Mets. And of course, that's a tough one because keep in mind, let me pull up the standings real quick. I do believe both New York teams. Now, the Yankees have the best record in the league. Gag.
Of course they do.
And of course, the Mets have a 7-game lead in their division right now. Still pretty early on, though. But this is a stretch in the season, it's not... It won't destroy them, but it certainly doesn't help them right now to be without their best pitcher, one of their best pitchers.
They have DeGrom, so yes, it's gonna suck to not have their main, top pitcher. They still have DeGrom, so I think they can manage, but for 6 to 8 weeks, that's gonna be tough because that's a majority of the schedule too.
Yeah, keep in mind
because they play so many games too, and they play so many different series against different teams. So 6 to 8 weeks is gonna be like a majority. That's gonna be a lot of games missed.
That's gonna be until about early mid-July, and that's about the All-Star break. So that's a big stretch. Keep in mind.
Which, even if they do go on a slump beforehand, at least they have it to, they could get it together afterwards. And a lot of teams usually do after the All-Star break. So don't discredit them just yet. Anything could happen, but signs aren't pointing very well in the Mets' favor.
Right now, they're the best team in their division, but again, I look at 4th place, and I look at 2nd place in that division, the Phillies and the Braves. Those two teams, now granted, the Braves had a little bit of turnaround after their World Series, but, they are still the defending champs. It's still early in the season, and they're only 4 games below 500, so I wouldn't necessarily wave the white flag and say they're done. But, the Phillies definitely, if they get... The Phillies are without Bryce Harper right now. That's another big injury in that division. But, we talked about it last year. In the middle of the summer, we were talking about the stretch. And this division being so tight at one point. Of course, all 5 teams in that division last year in July, when we were just about to go on break, they were all under a blanket. It looked like any one of those 5 teams could win that division and go to the playoffs. So,
right.
But that injury essentially opens it again to where if we're here mid-July, this could, I don't think, we might be on break. I don't know yet. But it's looking that way again for the Mets, where it's just going to be a 5-team race. But again, they'll get them back at a crucial part of the season. They'll get them back hopefully before the trade deadline. And that'll be big because one or 2 teams in that division, they're just going to throw the white flag out there and say, we're done. We don't have a shot. And then the other 3 are going to be bulking up, getting ready for the other 2 will be bulking up, getting ready to go for the long haul. But where will that put the Mets is more the bigger question in that 6 to 8 week stretch.
Right.
But again, long season ahead, so don't panic just yet. But
I know, I was about to say baseball just basically, well, not really just basically, but it has started a couple months ago, so.
yeah,
Well,
and actually I forgot about the delayed start, so I don't know if anything else got
true
delayed.
that.
But thanks for reminding me of that. All right. So you had the Cleveland, well, now Guardians, in the World Series in 2016. You had the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs in 2016. Jason, without looking at the document, what team just joined the elite club of choking this past week?
The Penguins.
Yes, sir. The Penguins are now the latest team to blow a 3-1 series lead. Oh, granted, it's not a championship game, but they blew a 3-1 lead versus the Rangers, lost in overtime in that game, I do believe. And now the Rangers, unfortunately, are down 1-0 in the series versus the Carolina Hurricanes. But come on,
it's only one game.
It doesn't matter that they had, literally the Rangers just said Sidney Crosby, Sydney, Australia, Bing Crosby. We don't care. Rangers in 7.
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly what it was.
Because,
it was like, I hate to interrupt you. It's almost like when in Game 5 with the Suns and Mavericks, when Devin Booker was having so much fun and then it was on the ground. It's like the Luka special. And then what happened the last 2 games? Phoenix fans, do you guys have to be reminded that Luka went off? You don't talk shit about Luka Doncic. He gets fueled off of trash talk. He's gonna take that as motivation, and then he's gonna whoop your ass the last 2 games. And what happened? So
save the trash talk for when the series is over. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Although I wouldn't do that because that's just rubbing salt in the wounds right there.
And I feel bad for Chris Paul because he even got asked afterwards, is like, oh, is this going to be the last opportunity for you? In the playoffs, is like, I'm not going to retire tomorrow. We're going to be back here next year. I'm like, well,
but the clock's ticking on his career. The
clock is ticking. You're 37, probably heading on 38, and the clock is ticking. I mean, you're not no spring chicken.
Unfortunately, we've gotten off topic, but again, clock's ticking for them. Same for Sidney Crosby, though. Sidney Crosby's.
I would think the same thing. I know Sidney Crosby. I would think that he has won one before in his career, but the time is ticking for a second title run, which unfortunately is not going to happen this year. Could it happen again? It could, but age plays kind of a factor in hockey.
He's 34, so it's not.
He's still sort of in his prime. I mean, but he's also heading into that time where he's also getting out of it. So
yeah, well, he's also at a point in his career again. If I do recall, he spent 2 years injured. There were 2 years where he was seriously injury plagued. He won 3 championships, if I'm not mistaken. But, it's always going to be for him in that sense what could have been. And then, certainly this year could have been a big what could have been because they should have beaten the Rangers. Okay. I know he missed Game 6, which was huge. And then who knows how much he was hurting in Game 7. To be honest, so hopefully now he'll have a long off season to get prepared. And again, the Rangers are still. This is no knock on the Rangers, but we'll see how they rebound in the off season and whatnot.
So hockey and basketball right now are both in the conference finals, right? If I'm mistaken.
hockey does their playoffs so weird. It's based on division or something. It's like 4 different divisions that it's based on. So technically in the division it's the finals, but next round would be the Eastern Conference Finals and then the Western Conference Finals. Again, the way they do things is so weird. I just don't understand it that well.
Oh, so they're currently in the second round is what you're getting at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. By the way, the Amerks Game 5 is going on as we speak. 2-1 Amerks, right, or 2-1 Utica right now. And I just logged into Facebook to find a picture. Wayne Gretzky's sons in Florida Panthers jerseys. Come on, Gretzky.
So, the real question I have about that is, like, is it the best team to go to 3 wins in the Calder Cup, or is it best of 7?
Best of 5 this round. And I believe it's best of 7 in the next round. I'm not too sure. But next round's like the semifinals. Then the round after that's the finals, and then the Calder Cup. That's how I believe it goes, which is so stupid. It's basically like the NBA for that league for some reason. But I figure now's a good time. Let's take our first break here, and when we come back, we'll have a lot of the NFL schedule to discuss.
Oh, yeah.
So
which would have happened last week, but yeah.
We meant to do it last week, but hey, we'll make up for it big this week. So stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment. And then, of course, we'll also have Tinkle on this at the end of the show. You're watching Sunday Morning Tinkle. We'll be right back. All right, here we go. NFL schedule is officially out. Of course, keep in mind it was released last Thursday. So here's kind of the highlights of it. Of course, a lot of them involved the Buffalo Bills. The Bills and the Chiefs, Week 6 at 4:25. Again, we'll give our thoughts on all this at the end here. The Bills will open the season as well versus the Rams on NBC Thursday night. And it's one of their 6 primetime games this season. Let's talk about this, though. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman's first Monday Night Football game, and it will be Russell Wilson's return to Seattle.
That's going to be something.
Might be one of the low-key underrated games next year.
Yeah, probably. I won't lie.
Yeah. Here's going to be probably the second biggest game of the year. Chiefs-Bucks, Week 4 on Monday. Did I get that right? I think it was Sunday Night Football they are on Week 4.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, I think that's a typo. It is Sunday Night Football. I have it on the document as Monday Night Football, but that is not correct. The other big return next season, Mike McCarthy will be returning to Lambeau Field, and that'll be taking place Week 10, Packers and Cowboys. And then, of course, we got the Thanksgiving and Christmas games. Starting with Thanksgiving, we got the Cowboys and the Giants, the Bills and the Lions, and the Pats and the Vikings. And then, of course, Christmas Day, we've got the Packers and the Dolphins. We got the Broncos and the Rams, and the Bucks and the Cardinals. That is Christmas Day in order, as well as Thanksgiving in order.
Actually, no, Thanksgiving is not in order. Bills versus Lions is actually
first. My mistake.
Yeah.
So, Jason, what are your thoughts here on the schedule so far?
So my thoughts, to open up the season, I kind of figure was going to happen. I think this is the first time that I know of that the Bills have actually opened up the season against the defending champ. And it makes a lot of sense. I mean, Von Miller going back to LA against his former team, gets his ring, gets to celebrate with his former teammates, raise the banner, all that other stuff. Only for the Bills to probably lose, not gonna lie, but we'll see.
Keep in mind, if again, and I'm going to go back to the what could have, should have, and would have been, probably. But the outcome in overtime changes for Buffalo. They would have been in the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, but there's no way in my mind that the Bengals would have won that game.
Buffalo, definitely not.
Okay, so again, that's probably the game that would have been the Super Bowl last year had it not been for overtime.
So this could very well be a sneak peek of what could happen towards the end of the season. So that we get
Absolutely.
the very first game of the year. So
absolutely.
Then it's going to be a true test.
Let me just say, though, again, this game's probably in the top 3 all year. But Bills and the Chiefs, clearly the best game of the year. Keep in mind, a few weeks ago I said this game needs to be on Christmas Day if they want any shot at winning this ratings war with the NBA, because I don't care what you say. They indirectly, but also directly, kind of raised a ratings war with the NBA by saying we're going to play 3 games on Christmas Day, 1 4/25 and 8/20. Mind you, all in the middle of those NBA games that are going on.
Oh, I know.
So they indirectly waged war, a friendly war, not, anything violent, not anything bad. But these games, to me, that's the part that stands out. I don't think they're that strong for Christmas Day. Now, granted, Miami,
Packers, Miami, and Bucks and Cards, yeah. If it's Broncos and Rams, no, not really, because unless they think that like Russell Wilson at this point will have the Broncos in a good standing order and Rams still in a good standing order, then maybe, but I don't think that Broncos versus the Rams is going to be like screaming, oh, this is going to be a must-see game. Of course, it's still early. The season hasn't started. We don't know how teams are going to be doing by that point in Christmas. So, but if I was to see this right now, Packers, Miami, I hate to say it, Packers are super great. They might shock me.
See, that game to me has more instability in terms of could it be a good matchup or is it going to be a slaughtering? Okay, that's kind of what it is. Now, Davante Adams, if Davante Adams was playing for the Packers and we saw Adams versus Hill and Hill and Hill and Waddle on the other side, maybe we would have saw on paper this game makes sense. Because, again, look at what Miami did the second half of last year. They were pretty good the second half of last year. But now, again, a whole new coaching staff, despite all of that. So we don't really know there's more uncertainty in Miami than there is uncertainty in Green Bay.
So I'm going to say this now. I think this game is going to probably shock us. I think Green Bay is going to somehow still find a way, even with Sammy Watkins and Randall Cobb and who else they have. I think they're going to shock us. I think this is going to be a lot better of a game than we think it is. But if I had to choose, right in and there between the two, probably the Dolphins, honestly.
I don't feel like you should put high hopes on the Packers. I think playoffs is reasonable for the Packers. I'm not saying that they're going to be bad, but I'm saying I wouldn't hold them to the high expectations of the last 2 years.
Speaking, I don't think they're going to be a 13-win team. Maybe like a 10. Again, like a 10-7 team.
And again, we still got 3 months or 4 months until we get the NFL season kicked off. But
so
the Bucks and the Cards, I will say the Bucks and the Cards, keep in mind, DeAndre Hopkins, assuming that he doesn't get hurt, knock on wood there, that game should be the best one for Christmas Day. because on
Yeah,
paper,
because
again,
he should be back by then. Of course, did get a 6-game suspension, so
yeah. And again, that's assuming he doesn't get hurt, and that's assuming that Arizona doesn't have this mid-season meltdown that they had last year.
right.
But the sad part is again, all we can talk about right now, and I keep saying it's on paper, but it's true. On paper, that set of games, I don't know. I would give it a C minus, to be honest. It was kind of a letdown because you would think, and I guess if I'm looking at it, the way the NFL must have decided it is we're not going to put any of the teams that are playing on Thanksgiving on Christmas because they're already playing one holiday. Why make them play both?
Right.
So that had to be their thinking. And again, to me, it doesn't matter what you do Thanksgiving because people are going to watch football on Thanksgiving regardless.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's the mindset I have. There's no NBA on Thanksgiving, or at least no meaningful NBA on Thanksgiving.
True.
They should have really, to me, seeing that they announced what they were going to do Christmas Day, they should have put more effort into being sure that it's 3 of the best games of the whole, at least 3 of the top 10 games that we can expect on paper entering the season.
Right.
So,
I mean, the Bucks and Cards could be a shocking one too. Cardinals have quite a lot of talent on that team right now. So the Bucks, are just the Bucks. So I think that could be a good game. Thanksgiving games are going to be interesting to see.
Thanksgiving, I'd say, is a B minus, to be honest.
Pats and Vikings, I think, is going to be an interesting game to see.
Yeah.
Bills versus Lions depends on how the Lions could be during that time, but and then Cowboys and Giants, that'll be interesting to see because Cowboys are usually just the Cowboys. Giants could upset them. So I think the Thanksgiving games are going to be better than Christmas Day games. Too bad we didn't add the Christmas Eve games because I think there's 2 maybe.
What is it? Let's see. Christmas Eve, Christmas Eve is actually all loaded. That's all the Week 16 main matchups there.
Oh, that's right. Never mind.
Thursday night, the Thursday night game we won't even discuss. That one is god-awful. But, of course, the day after Christmas, we're treated to some decent football. Of course, the Chargers and the Colts, 2 teams that are expected to be toward the tops of their division. So,
but the crazy thing is, too, Brian, is that, yes, the Bills have 6 primetime games, but could potentially get flexed to 8. Mm-hmm. They have 2 games that are on their schedule that could potentially get flexed. Week 15 against the Dolphins could potentially get flexed. It says either the 17th or the 18th, which honestly I could see it getting flexed because I think both teams will be good by that time, week 15. And also week 18 against the Pats could also very well get flexed.
It could be the Saturday doubleheader or it could be the Sunday night. So
Buffalo could potentially altogether have 8 primetime games, which would be nice to see. I mean, that would be the most primetime games that Buffalo has ever gotten, I think, ever. 6 is quite a bit. It's great to see. But if I had to say anything too, Chiefs and Bucks, that's going to be one hell of a great matchup to see. Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes always put on bangers of matchups when they play each other. So I expect week 4 to be nothing less.
Mm-hmm. So what I gathered, now here's the game I'm really upset about. And this one to me really dragged down the grade of the entire NFL schedule. Okay. Because to me, it would have been at least a B if this game was the one in primetime instead of one of the other Buffalo games. And it's the Bills and the Chiefs. So,
I know.
apparently, from my understanding, I don't know how true this is, but I was talking with a friend, and this friend had mentioned that the only reason the Bills and the Chiefs are playing at 4:25 on a Sunday afternoon as opposed to the primetime games is in the contracts for CBS and for Fox. They can get dibs on one of the premier games during the year before any of the, ESPN, Amazon, and NBC get them. So this is, I guess, the game that CBS called dibs on before the schedule was released.
Oh, wow.
So that's the rumor I'm hearing. I don't know how true it is. Of course, it will be the game that Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson are all at. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But I don't like it from a standpoint of, again, it's going to be one of those games where if it is out of market, it's going to be tough for, again, this is a game that could have killed the ratings across the board.
First off, Buffalo did not need to get Thanksgiving against the Lions.
I would have traded that.
They should have gave the Lions some other team to play on Thanksgiving. Because if I was the one that was rating the schedule there, I would have said, Bills and Lions, that should not be on Thanksgiving. I hate to say it. Make Bills and Chiefs, one of the 6 primetime games, because you can have it on Sunday night or Monday Night Football.
Again, to me, that's assuming that dibs thing that I heard is false. Then it should have been switched around. Now, assuming that dibs thing is true, I guess it makes sense, and it kind of does. But still,
it just seems weird that in Kansas City, playing at a 4:25 compared to 1 p.m. I mean,
well, it should be. I mean, essentially in most markets, it'll be the game. Like how Fox has their game of the week and it's on TV, whether it's in market or out of market.
Yeah.
It'll probably be that game where it's going to be in probably 70% of the viewing markets. But This is a game, I'm sorry, after what we witnessed in the playoffs, probably the greatest game last year, without doubt.
Mm-hmm.
This should have been a game that was put at night on the main stage where the entire world had a chance to see it without having to get Sunday ticket. For the 30 or 40% that aren't able to watch it is what I should say.
Yeah, I know.
Let me just go over to week 4 before we move on, of course, because I want to just see, for my own curiosity, how much the tickets are worth for that game. So week 6, I went to week 4 by mistake. Right now, tickets are only $162. I'm shocked.
For the Chiefs Bills?
Yeah, I would have expected $200 range right there. But, all right. Interesting. But I guess now's a good time to move on to Tinkle on this. And, of course, we stay on the Chiefs for a second. Of course, a few weeks ago, the Miami Grand Prix took place for Formula One, one of their soon-to-be 3 races in the U.S. market next year. Of course, they just added Las Vegas into the market for next year. And the F1 roving reporter, or their pit road reporter, of course, they do the grid walk before the race. This pit reporter went up to a player, or to an athlete, and assumed it was Patrick Mahomes. And, of course, when he got up and said, "Oh, I'm with the greatest football player in the league right now, Patrick Mahomes," it actually turned out to be NBA draft prospect Paolo Banchero from Duke. Okay, first off, how do you make that mistake? I mean, look at Patrick Mahomes and look at Paolo Banchero. Okay, there's no similarities there.
It's a throw. That's what really gets them confused.
But Patrick Mahomes has more hair on the top of his head than Paolo Banchero has. And he's also probably at least 4 or 5 inches taller. Just saying.
I mean, true.
So, I guess I get it. He's from Britain or whatever, and Sky Sports. He's not an ESPN reporter, even though ESPN holds the rights to Formula One. But I'm just shaking my head. I don't care if you live under a rock. You should know what Patrick Mahomes looks like, even if you're not a football player, because he's on the damn TV doing TV ads all day with Aaron Rodgers. So for that, to that F1 roving pit reporter from Sky Sports, you can tinkle on this. That is just, oh my gosh, I got no words.
I know, it was crazy.
Oh man, but that's all we got for today. So Jason, what do you guys have coming up this week with no final bell?
Yeah, well, we finally got to know who the Jokers were. The women's side was a little disappointing, but Johnny fucking Elite is now All Elite. Yes, formerly known as Johnny Nitro, Johnny Mundo, John Morrison, Johnny Impact. Well, now he's Johnny Elite in AEW. He is now officially with AEW. I don't know if it was just like, I don't know if he officially signed a contract, but he made his AEW debut. So it's nice to see. I could have swore it was Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae the whole time, but I was wrong. So it's nice to see that Johnny Elite is in AEW. Unfortunately, I came with a loss, but it was nice to see. So what's going up on turn 4 there, Brian?
Wow. I got to tell you, of course, I think I mentioned the last show here that this is the greatest month in all of auto racing, and actually all of racing in general, if you count the Triple Crown races. But we are now entering the week of the greatest racing, or the greatest month. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. We're entering the biggest week in the biggest month of all of auto racing. We got the Monaco Grand Prix next Sunday. It'll actually be on while we're on air, if, of course, we got our situations figured out.
I'm sure
we will, I'm sure. We then have the Indy 500 to follow that, the 106th running of the race. And on top of it, to cap off the weekend, we got the Coca-Cola 600, the longest race in NASCAR all season. All 3 races on the same exact day. So Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, we will get you set up for the Coca-Cola 600 and the Monaco Grand Prix, as well as basically it's our regular show. So we will get you set on those 2 races, give our picks. We'll also update any news that we have. But the big thing is we do have a special this week, and it's on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. We will have our Indianapolis 500 special. I will recap everything that's happened the last couple weeks at Indianapolis for the oval side of things, not the road course, because we already did that. I also like to play a little game every year with the Indianapolis 500. Of course, we have 33 entries into the race, as we always do. So I'm going to go 33-1 in the starting order, and I'm going to list if they're a pretender or a contender on Sunday's race. So that's the game I like to play. We'll do that, and then, of course, we will make our picks for the 106th running of the greatest spectacle in all of racing. And, man, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sad I got to work that day, too, for the race. But I'm gonna put it on the DVR, so if you guys know me, if any of you out there have my phone number or have me on Facebook or Twitter, and you feel tempted to message me the results of this race, please don't do it. I'm warning you. I will block you. I will. This is not a threat. This is not a drill. This is my favorite race of the whole year. Do not tell me.
Kind of like when I had to pause AEW Dynamite last night. Of course, we're recording on a Thursday, and Dynamite is usually always on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, of course, the very first match was Samoa Joe versus the Joker. Yeah. I'm like, Marty, do not open up Twitter or anything like that, because I know it was going to happen. It's going to be in the first match. We're going to get spoiled. I had to, make my bed and stuff like that. And then what happened? I unpause it, and it's Samoa Joe versus the Joker. I was like, well, I called this one, so
yeah.
But
oh my God.
I was gonna say,
I love it when you log into social media.
For no final bell side of things is that we're getting closer to Double or Nothing. So again, we're going to have a pay-per-view special as well as the main show. I would think it would probably still end up being Wednesday. That it's gonna be one might be earlier, and then one might be at the normal time. So.
We both got a really busy week ahead of us. I can just tell.
Yeah, I would definitely.
Stay tuned to Facebook for his updates. Ours are already set on the Out of Turn 4 side. So, again.
Yeah, I was about to say, of course, this last episode had to come out a little bit later, but it still came out on the same day, which was nice.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But, man. So, again, Wednesday for him. I don't know exactly the times. He'll tell you on social media. And of course, for us,
we try for 5 p.m. every single week, so we'll see.
Yeah, and then for us, it's going to be 5 p.m. Eastern as usual on Tuesday, and then on Friday night, it'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Facebook, just like it normally is on Tuesday. Well, except for the time change.
And of course, this show every Sunday at 9 a.m.
Yeah. And we'll be back. With any luck, we will be back. We'll have it figured out by then. So, anyway, we want to thank you for watching. I'm losing my earbuds. That's why I'm doing that. But anyway, we want to thank you for watching, and we will see you back here next Sunday, assuming we don't collapse from all the recording we have to do this week. So
yeah, right.
But until then, guys, goodbye, everyone.